Hello, welcome. I'm Helen, Authentic Discovery. This week's conversation is going to be talking to Richard. So thank you very much for watching and remember to subscribe and like. And Richard, thank you for joining me. I'm aware that we're in different time zones, so you might be a little bit more weary than myself as it's the middle of my day. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Richard and I am currently living in Singapore and it's good to be here.
Okay, lovely. So your accent isn't Singaporean. So what took you to Singapore?
An adventure 16 years ago, opportunity came along. So I was living in Samoa at the time and I'd been there for a few years, had a great time of it, but wasn't going very far professionally. So I needed to develop myself a little bit more, and an opportunity to come to Singapore came along and I took it. Originally, I was going to come for a year, and then 16 years later, a wife, 3 kids, mortgage, and all the grey hairs and wrinkles that come along with it.
Okay. So you were in Samoa. So you're not originally, you're not Samoan either.
No, I'm from Birmingham, England, born and raised in Birmingham. Left the UK 1997, so 23 years ago. And I've been in Asia, in the South Pacific, in the States, in the Middle East, and yeah, I've been very blessed, man, with what I've been doing.
Okay. So what inspired you to leave your native land?
Same thing, an adventure. Even before I left, I was traveling a lot in the UK and in Europe. Always had a passion to see the world and meet new people and do different things. And an opportunity, the first big one was an opportunity to go to Samoa to work in a school down there. Had no idea about Samoa besides their rugby team. And from there, I've never really looked back. But in fairness, like I said, I've traveled a lot before I left the UK. Most weekends I was not in Birmingham
Okay.
from
So
the age of 17 onwards.
okay. So you went to school. So was that to teach?
Yeah. So I'm a teacher. I went to school in the UK, in Birmingham, got kicked out then of secondary school. Then I went to college to become a chef and got kicked out of there. Worked in some factories. Then I went on a mission for a church that I was involved with, and that opened my eyes to the importance of education. So I came back, went and did a access course for a year, which enabled me to apply to university. Did a university degree. Then I went to Liverpool to do a teaching degree. Taught a little bit in the UK, and then was given an opportunity to go and teach in Samoa. I went to Samoa to teach American delinquents, and it's been brilliant.
So your teaching has taken you lots of places.
All over the world, man. All over the world. Yeah, it's been a blessing. I've been very fortunate. Yeah, it's been great. It's really, really been great. And I hope it is going to continue to take me to where else I want to go next.
Okay. So what inspires you in general in life? I mean, it was the sense of adventure that inspired you to travel and go different places. What would you say is your inspiration in life?
Now my inspiration in life is to be the best father I can be and provide the best I can for my family. That's where my focus and my energy is at the moment. If I'm being honest with you, professionally, I'm not really doing what I would like to be doing. I'm not doing as much as what maybe I could be doing, but I don't have the desire maybe to do much more, because I feel it would take away from what is most important right now. And most important right now is for me to be a responsible father, something I never had in my life growing up. And so that in some ways motivates me not to put my own children through some of the things that I had to contend with growing up.
So you didn't grow up with a father around you?
No, man, not at all. I grew up in a highly dysfunctional situation.
Okay, okay. What did you and is that what do you think that may have inspired your sense of adventure to go and see what else was out there, or did that play any part in your motivations to see the world, or
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know to answer that question. I
okay,
can't say that if I had a more of a functional upbringing, that I still wouldn't have this desire to go and see the world. So that, I don't think that would be fair to say that. I
okay,
think I think about it more now. Now that I'm in a family, and then also when I was, it impacted my relationships
okay,
as I became a young adult. But I don't think it impacted my resolve to go and pursue what I wanted to pursue.
okay. So when you say impacted your relationships, are you talking your intimate relationships or just your relationships in
No,
general?
intimate. No.
Okay.
Intimate relationships.
Are,
My
are,
relationships in general with people. I've been blessed in the sense that I'm okay in terms of having social, intrasocial personal skills. I've got a decent. I've always had a decent ability to
I have actually
intermix
seen
with
that in
people.
action because I travelled once with you and watched you able to navigate many languages, still only speaking your own.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that it's more to do with intimate relationships and issues of trust, trusting others and trusting yourself, and the emotional insecurities, which is
But
probably at the bottom of it or the base of it.
is that because you didn't have an example to sort of have as a foundation?
Possibly, possibly,
Okay.
yeah. I think, yeah, growing up, the only male figure that I remember was one of abuse to my mother.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. A father that I can count on one hand how many times I saw him. So yeah, I do feel as if that has a relationship with my inability to trust and also open up emotionally.
Okay.
And
Okay.
even to this day, to be fair, even to this day.
That kind of surprises me, but I suppose that's because I have a different kind of relationship with you to other people because I would have found you quite open. But so
No, I am quite open, but I was. You get too close, or how it was previously. You got too close. It's not going to be. I was not comfortable with that for a long time. I was single and happy being single. I was by myself, and I was happy being by myself.
okay. And have you found um, in your parenting, because there was that lack of example on a male level, and the only example you had was quite violent, have you found that you have it's been a very conscious approach in terms of not going down certain roads, or have you found that that sometimes you go to react and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually did learn that violent reaction, even though you may not have carried it out, because sometimes we know that things aren't right and we know that things aren't necessarily the way forward, but because they're the only example that we have, they're kind of a pre-wired default. Have you ever found that that's infiltrated your relationships at all?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. I'm definitely conscious, and I'm coaching myself and I'm talking to myself. In just 10 minutes before I got on this phone call, I'm in a combustible situation that in my own childhood lent to a meeting, and I'm finding myself with a belt in my hand, even though I'm not going to do anything with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And that's on your parenting and in within your other relationships.
Yeah, more so my parenting. I think that's the one that I'm really focused on. That is my that is my identity. That is what defines me, and that is what I have to do for this period of time.
And it sounds like you're a very conscious parent then. And are you happy that you're a conscious parent? Is that bringing you joy? Is it bringing you a sense of, because you said it defines you, so you're a parent. So the first thing and foremost is your parenting. You know, is it bringing you joy?
Yeah. It, I mean, for the most, yeah. Uh, like I said 15 minutes ago, it was definitely a
The
challenge.
joys
But
of parenting.
yeah, but overall, yeah, man. And this circuit, we're honest, they call it a circuit breaker here, which is
Okay,
the local version of a lockdown.
okay.
And we've been in the house now for 6 weeks, and I really love being around my children.
Oh, how lovely. How lovely.
It's
That's
it's
got a lovely
I feel
warm,
very,
fuzzy feeling. That's really nice.
yeah. I feel it's a really good time because I'm at a stage and they're at an age where I'm still relevant to them, and they make me feel as if they want to be part of their their day, their experience. So yeah,
It
man,
goes very quickly. Before you know it,
I'm
they're grown
yeah,
and gone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it. It's what defines me, man. This is where I am, man, and I'm determined not to be what I was given as
Fabulous.
a child.
Um, you've travelled a lot. You've said that you've done a lot of travelling. Is there a moment in your whole life, not just your travelling experiences, and whether it be now or when, is there a moment in your life that that you really remember and that you'll never forget? Is there, I mean, we all have many moments, but is there a moment that just popped into your head and like, that's the moment I'll never forget?
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot because I have travelled a lot. One of the things that comes to my mind as I'm listening to that question is when I went to Western Samoa, and within a few days or whatever it would be, we went to a local restaurant. It was a bar that had some restaurant, and they served some local food. And the dish was raw fish. They call it oka, raw fish, cucumbers, tomatoes, lemon juice, and this type of thing. And you watch them cut up the fish in front of you and then eat it. And I remember looking at it with my English condition, or not even English, my Western conditioned idea of how food should be prepared and how food should be consumed. And I was really afraid to put this raw fish in my mouth, but it was one of the it was delicious, and I think that would symbolize or that would answer that question, symbolic of why you want to travel, because you are going into something that you have not or would not normally do.
Okay, so what did you learn about yourself from that?
That I really like raw fish. And I learned also that I you can be more you can be resilient, and you should not be closed-minded about anything.
Okay. And is that, in learning that from about yourself in terms of being resilient and basically, I presume the resilience in this instance means that you can survive things that you thought you couldn't, and that openness to try new things, has that, you've learned that about yourself. So how is that? What's what's the adverse on that? What have you tried? What did you once think? Okay, I'll give it a go, and then you thought, never, ever, ever again. What was I thinking? Have you had one of those moments?
Yeah. When I
Would you like
when I
to
was in
share?
America, one of the things that comes to my mind when I was in America, got into cliff jumping off cliffs and rocks, and there was one that was maybe 100 feet, 120 feet. Jumped off that, and that was, I've never done it since. So it gradually got higher and higher and higher, and yeah, that was not a pleasant experience.
Was it physically
And
not a
then
pleasant
also,
experience, or was it? Because I'm just imagining you. Did you go head first, feet first? Or did you hit the belly? Or
I went head first. Normally, I like I used to like the adrenaline feeling, but that one, for whatever reason, I didn't like the feeling that I had as I was trying to push up those boundaries.
okay, so that was one push too far.
Yeah, and then also another thing that comes to my mind, when I was one summer, I was working in Turkey, and I I was into I put on some clothes, and I put on a Muslim. I remember putting on a Muslim hat, not because I'm a Muslim, but because I felt it looked cool. So, and I'm not really aware of the implications of putting on this type of a hat that they wear to go to the temple. And I'm going to the club, the bars, in this type of thing. And that was okay. Maybe I do need to be a little bit more controlled in my open-mindedness,
Okay.
because that attracted the wrong type of attention.
Okay. I remember an occurrence when we travelled together actually. Oh,
Yeah,
bless
sorry.
you. And you did actually have one of those hats on, and you had the entire outfit on, actually, a white outfit.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think
yeah.
I was dressed in white as well, and we were in a certain part of France, and
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
we had quite
that
an
was in Le
interesting
Havre.
experience.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That was in Le Havre. It was quite
Yeah.
racist.
Quite.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. So we looked quite different, and we looked quite so in terms of look, and because obviously that was about attire, and in Le Havre it was about the colour of our skin, and because you've travelled, how have you found as a young, because you went quite young, as a young black man, so you're talking almost 30 years ago, um, so the world was quite different then as well, and especially in America. You've travelled the world. How has that played out? Have you how
It's
did
yeah. Let me tell you, because I've had contrasting experiences,
that?
and it's it's always had something to do with the color of your skin or the way that you look. So I'll give you an example. In Utah, when I studied over there, lived over there, the community where I was at was a predominantly white community, and you go into certain places and you would be conscious of being on the end of it. Or in parts of America, you go into no. Let me tell you, no. When I was in Brisbane, Australia, I walked into my first pub in Brisbane, Australia, and I don't want to say it went silent, but there was a vibe like, okay, I don't need to be staying here for very long. So I've been on that side of it. But then when I went to Samoa, and when I went, and here in Asia, it's the other way. It's the reverse racism. They put people on a pedestal here in this part of the world, and there also, because of the color of your skin, the way that you look. They associate you with, well, they associated me and still do with professional footballers or
Okay.
basketball players
'Cause
or
you're quite tall as
wrestlers.
well, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah, because I'm tall and a little bit athletic. So definitely I've seen both sides of it. And even in my work, because I'm British, a lot of my work that I get here is because of the way that I sound and the way that I look. So that
Okay.
has been a blessing to me. But then there have been times when it has been, I've had to look over my shoulder to see, okay, is it going to get a little bit silly here?
Okay. And you are, what I hear is that you have learned to trust yourself very much so. And okay, this is not somewhere I want to be. And you'll just leave. You haven't kind of, was there ever a time when you felt that and thought, you know what, no, I'm staying here, let's see where it goes? Or have you always trusted your instincts and thought, I don't need this, I'm going to leave?
As you get older, you get wiser, right? So when you're young, when I'm younger, I got into fights over this because of my own ignorance or my own stupidity. So
I'm gonna, I'm gonna kind of not disagree because there is an element of ignorance and stupidity when you're going to get into a fight. But on the same hand, and I suppose I'm just thinking when you're young, there's such a sense of injustice about it, and like, how dare you decide that you know who I am based on what I look like? And so that that needs to be challenged, and sometimes you end up in fights with that. So as much as yes, you can say you were young and stupid and whatever, but there are those ideologies that others hold against you purely based on how you look and the colour of your skin. I think there's a place for that to be challenged. I'm not sure that physical violence is the answer, but definitely
yeah,
when you're younger, it does usually end up like that. And with you being quite tall, people want to knock down the big man.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It does need to be challenged. There's a time and a place for everything, right?
Yeah.
And 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning after you've been drinking and dancing all night Saturday night is probably not the time for you to try and start solving that problem.
I have to agree
So,
with that one.
yeah. So this is what I learn as I get older, and sometimes also as you get older, I'm also just like, you know what, this can't be. It's too much energy for what it represents.
Okay. Okay. It's not
It's
worth
yeah,
it leaves them
yeah,
with,
man.
so is
Yeah,
that a leave them with their ignorance kind of thing, or um
I can't be bothered.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right now I can't be bothered. And then also as well, there's the things have changed. Growing up, okay, I hit you, you hit me. We figure it out and then we move forward. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to play out in that situation. Things have changed, man.
Yeah, people pull
People
out knives
don't.
and guns and all sorts now.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I, you know what? And I'm cocooned also because I've been living in Singapore, which is extremely safe, and I'm also on the top end of it. I'm not on the other side of it anymore. Most of
Mm,
what I get is positive, although sometimes you still get some people that are
yeah.
like want to
Yeah.
be a bit funny, but it's a
I
different
was
perspective now.
I suppose I'm a little bit surprised to hear, because you're in Southeast Asia, and I know that when my daughter went to Southeast Asia, I think she went to, I think it was Thailand and another place. She was they constantly tried to ply her with skin lightening products to make her beautiful. And I'm just wondering, is there a difference then in how they perceive women and how they perceive men, or is Singapore
Yeah.
different to the rest
No.
of Southeast Asia?
No. No. Well, yes, Singapore is very different to the rest of Southeast Asia. It's the most developed country in Southeast Asia. When you come here, you will, as soon as you get to the airport, it's a whole different experience compared to any other airport in Southeast Asia. So yes, it is different,
Okay.
but also in traditional Asian eyes, pure white is beautiful. The
Where does
more
that,
whiter you are,
do you know where that comes from? Is that a colonial, is that a something that's been left from some sort of colonization? Or is it something, do you know
no,
where it
no,
actually comes from?
no, it's before then, because so that part, so where most East Asians come from, so Japan, Korea, China, for the most part, that's in the northern hemisphere, and they are relatively
Okay.
cold countries. So that by nature, they're pale people.
Okay.
So it's only more of a recent phenomenon where people, the dark skin is considered to be more beautiful. So you get a lot of younger people who are tanning and want to be a darker.
Okay. Okay.
But generally speaking, the East Asians from way back when, white is beautiful.
Okay.
And then it's not even white. It's fair,
Fair.
because
Okay.
yeah, it's not the same type of, European white.
Okay. Okay. So you're on lockdown, and I heard you. Or sorry, what do you call it? Restricted
It's a
zone.
circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker. You're on a circuit
Yeah.
breaker. Um, how has that impacted on your work and how you work? Are you still working? Is Singapore still working?
No, so there are only essential services. So it has definitely impacted how the country's running, and it has impacted my work. I can't go to work. I'm working from home on a computer and over the phone, but I'm still able to get things done, but nowhere near as efficient or as effective as what it
Face
would
to
be
face.
in person. Yeah,
Okay. So what are
and
your
and ultimately in education, the best, in my opinion, the best form of learning is interaction, physical interaction, because especially at the younger one, the younger ages, the the most important thing is the teacher-student relationship. Once you've got an appropriate teacher-student relationship, there is not much that you cannot do as a teacher.
Okay. Can I have an idea about education. I used to highly value education. And I guided my children to all get an education. However, and I'm not sure whether you're aware of the education system in the West, but my engagements with the education system at the moment are leaving me, and over the past few years, have left me to think that one, the standards are a lot lower. They're not demanding, not demand, yeah, they're not, the expectation isn't very high um, on language, on spelling, on grammar, on sentence, construction and things like that. And also, the education is more about um, indoctrination rather than education. Whereas years ago, education was about making you think, making you evaluate, giving you a rounded idea of the world and a lust for knowledge and a lust to learn more. Would you? My idea is that that has gone now, and education is more about indoctrination. Is that something that you either agree with, disagree with, or that you can see, or is it different?
Well,
What's the education in Singapore? Is it about creating rounded individuals, or is it about creating worker ants to enter a system?
yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's about passing an exam, getting a grade, so that you can go to university to pass another exam to get a grade, so that you can become either a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or whatever it is at IT. The
Okay.
the idea of education becoming something for knowledge, to knowledge acquisition, doesn't exist in this part of the world. Everything is about results, and it, no matter the cost.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah,
When you
it's
say no,
So regardless of the morals that are involved, the ethics, the character development, or this type of thing, that all goes on the back burner. Most students here are doing school all day and then are going to tuition centers to prepare for end of year tests. They're under immense pressure from their parents because in the Confucius ideology, and a lot of those of Chinese and East Asian descent, they embrace some of these ideals. Education comes at all costs.
Okay, that doesn't sound really person-centered at all. So is the psychological well-being of people is children isn't overly valued or looked after? It's just or is it, because when you speak about the relationship, once you get a relationship with a student, you can progress that. Does that aspect of it help the student?
It's only good for those who are smart. It's an elitist system. So if you've got any type of learning disability, or if you're a late learner or whatever, if you're not ticking all of the boxes, for the want of a better word, you are completely screwed.
Okay.
And it's tough on parents because they know that this system is not healthy, but they also know that this is the system. So on the one side, they don't agree with it and they don't want to put this kind of burden on their child, but they also can't help themselves because the windows of opportunity that will be given to those who have got better grades is going to be greater. So as a parent, what do? Do you stick with your own values and your own ideas, or do you go with your what's best in the long run for the child? So it's a battle, right?
Are parents offered the opportunity to balance that within the home environment, though?
You can do, yeah, you can do, but you're still going up against culture, right?
Wow. Okay. So
And
what are your
a culture that's based on well, there's a strong element of pride. It's tough, man.
Okay, that's kind of made me put a different thought on different things. But so what are your plans? I know that you said that you have things that you want to achieve.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, I know you just had to go away. So what was I asking? Yeah, you've said that you have plans, there's things that you'd like to do, but you're sort of focusing very much on being a parent and you're enjoying that. What sort of plans have you got? That's an interesting phrase I've got on my computer review there. What sort of plans have you got for the next 3 to 6 months?
Save as much money as I can. Spend as much time as possible with my kids.
So you do private tutoring as well, is that right? Do you do private tutoring?
Yeah, every day.
Okay. And do you do that just in your local community, in your local area, or is it an international thing that you offer? So if somebody watching this wanted to, I'd like to be tutored. Sorry?
Now I'm doing it all online. So much. I've got students in Korea at the moment, students in Singapore.
Okay, so it is international. So if people wanted to be tutored by you or connect with you, how would they get in touch with you?
All of my students come from word of mouth from parents who talk to another parent. So I haven't marketed myself or done marketed
There's no
myself.
social media platforms that people can find you?
No, man, no.
All right. So anyone that does want to find you, if they go via me, and then I would direct them to you in that way.
Sure, man. Absolutely. That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. So my final question is: what truth would you like to share?
What truth would I like to share?
the keys in the title of these, it's called Speak Your Truth. So what truth would you like to share?
What truth? What truth would I like to share? What is truth, man?
Okay.
I live in a world where I'm living in a world where really, can you be truth? If I had it my own way, can you be truth? Can you really be truth when you've got to provide for what you have to provide and do what you're supposed to do in order to put food on the table, a roof over your head? How truth can you really be?
Wow, that's scary.
It's reality, right? It's reality.
Okay,
I
okay. So
think
do
there's
you feel
unless you're living in a society where there's not very many people, and even then, even when I lived in Samoa, where they're living off the land, and there's very small people, small groups of people that are living in a little village, they still can't be truth. They still have to behave in a particular way. You still
Oh,
have to. You
okay.
still have to conform to whatever the norms are or the traditions. So unless you're living out and you're living by yourself, I think it's difficult really to be 100% truth.
So do you feel that you live a truthful life, that you live by, you have your values, your set of, do you feel you live
No, man.
as close to them as you can, or do you feel that they're
I
heavily
suppose so, man.
compromised?
Of course, the compromise, man. I'm
No,
happy
but
to play a game.
are they heavily compromised? Does it sound like,
I have to get out of my bed every morning. I will deal with some people. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I think I'm heavily compromised. I have
so
to look a
you really
particular
would
way.
spend, so this person who has a lust for adventure, this is, my understanding of you is that you have a lust for adventure. You're trying to tell me that you would just spend all of your time in bed if you didn't have
No,
to.
no,
So
no.
so you do, so getting up is not the thing.
No, yeah, no. Getting up is not the thing. The idea is that I'm getting up to go do something that really I have to do. As much as I enjoy it,
All right, okay.
I have to go out, and if I had a choice to do that, all right. If I've got no family now, my work situation, my whole approach to life is different.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's not the
And
systems, it's your obligations to your family that limit
yeah, yeah,
your ability to express and live your full truth.
yeah. In an ideal world, I would love to get them and get in a car, in a van, like what we once did, and just drive.
Okay.
And that could take us 4 years to do that. So I have to conform to the system. And is that really my truth? Is that what truth is? Having to conform to a system? I suppose it is the truth, but I don't
There's
know,
a
man.
part of me that feels very disheartened by the way that you speak in terms of you have to, and I can hear that's what you feel and that's what you see. Um, and I can't disagree that there's certain, whether whatever system you were living under, if you have a family, it's your responsibility to provide for that family. So you have to make sure there is food, you have to make sure there is shelter, in order for them to survive. So I get those have tos, but they're not. They don't sound like um, have tos that are in alignment with who you are. So it's almost like I can hear you fighting against the grain, and yet your joy of parenting is not fighting against the grain. You're actually enjoying that. So I've got a little bit of a contradiction in my head with what I think I've heard and what I think you've said. But that's for
You know,
me.
it is a contradiction. I would agree with you. And I
Oh,
think
right, okay.
because I do enjoy what I'm doing. I do enjoy my work. I do enjoy the challenge of providing. I would also enjoy being a bird with wings. So
Yeah.
there is a contradiction, and it's not say that I'm not happy about this situation, but it's if you're asking me to tell the truth, well, the truth is I don't know, man. If I don't know what the truth is, I know that I'm on
Okay.
this path. I'm on this path, and I'm enjoying this path. But there is another path that I was once on, and I enjoyed that, and I still think about that path. But when I was on that path, I often thought about how is it going to be,
On this path.
or yeah, I want to be on that path. So that's my truth, and so yeah, it's a contradiction.
Okay, but you, by the sounds of it, though, you've got everything that you've asked for, because when you was on that path, you wanted that
I've,
path. You still
I've
have a
got
desire
nothing
for
to
that path, so
complain
you
about,
do
man.
get what you want. So
If it comes across that I'm not grateful, then
no,
that's
no,
not my
no, no, no.
intention.
It doesn't come across as that at
I
all. No.
I am what's my truth? I am incredibly, amazingly, whatever kind of adverb and adjective you want to use to describe the highest degree of gratitude for my life and what I have and what I've been given. That's me. That's my truth. I'm very, 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 very grateful that I am in good health, that I have my children, my family, they're in good health. I am in a position to provide for everybody. And whatever I really want, if I really want it, I know, I mean, want it within reason. I know that I could really want it. I could have it, and
Yeah.
I have it.
It's one of the things that I do know about you and that I've observed about you throughout life is that you are incredibly generous with everyone else. You can provide for everyone else, but not so much with yourself. But that's just an observation. So on that level, I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time to join me in conversation. I have learned things about you that I never knew, which is really lovely. So if you'd like to just hold on 1 second. But so thank you to everyone. Thank you to Richard for joining me in conversation. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As Richard says, he's not on any social media platforms, but should you require tuition, he does have a online on tuition. You can contact me and I will pass on any messages and contact details for you. Please subscribe and like to the channel. Anything that I can offer, it will be in the link below. Like, subscribe, share, that whole shebang. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye.